Created by machines. And I'm telling you right now that those people, you guys, the content creators that connect with people are the ones that are going to win. Some people think, well, it won't work for my industry. Really? It'll work for any industry. Trust me. The majority of the time when we're looking to fix something, repair something, or learn something, where do we go? YouTube. We don't even want to read anymore. We go to YouTube. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong.
When you're doing your thing, beautiful things begin to happen. It's like the law of attraction kicks in. You know what I mean? It's almost like you're in line with the universe. Everything works. And when you do your thing, everybody gets an automatic MBA, which stands for what? Mega Bank Account Money. Are you with me? So we don't want to do a thing. We want to do a what? Beautiful.
All right, put it all together for Victor Antonio. Here we go.
All right, there we go. I'm not here to mess around. You ready to learn? Yes or no?
That's how it works in today's market. Whether it's B2B or B2C, you see the similar pattern. How do you just, in other words, say you got to start doing these things, pushing them, but also encouraging them. Oh, look at this. This is where it gets, dude, this is like so interactive with audiences, Matt. Can you imagine this with your customers? Check this out. Now, what does all this have to do with selling? It has everything to do with selling.
All right, good evening, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Sales After Dark, happening after dark. I did one this morning for the international people, so I thought I'd do one here for the U.S. So if you're stopping by to watch, thank you very much. Drop a comment in. I'll read it at the end. Anyway, let's get into this subject. I'm only going to spend 15 minutes on this, but I wanted to highlight this whole thing about trust. When you hear people talk about trust, you hear all these soft words like, well, it's about creating value. It's about getting close to your customer and understanding them. But what I want to do is I want to give you a tactical formula, like something you can actually grab onto and use to develop trust. And again, you can use it when you're selling, when you're talking one-on-one to another person, a colleague, right? Or you can also use it, let's say, in meetings when you're actually trying to convince your boss to basically trust you to do something. So here's what I want you to do. Write this formula down. Let's walk through it very slowly. Trust has 3 components. So I've come up with this formula. Let me know if you agree. The first part of trust, and again, it has 3 components. The first part of trust is, and I'll give you the acronyms, POV, which means you should take that person's point of view. In other words, put yourself in their shoes. When you're talking to a customer, one of the things you can do is put yourself in their position. If you're asking your manager or higher up, C-level folks for something, put yourself in their position to see how they view your request. So how do you do this? When you're talking about POV, the first thing you want to do is ask a lot of questions. So let's think sales. When you're talking to a customer, instead of just jumping into your presentation, I see a lot of people just rush into the presentation, right? What you want to do is ask a lot of questions up front. In other words, slow down to speed up the sale. Let me say that again. By asking a lot of questions up front, you actually speed up the sale. Why? Because when you understand the customer, you know how to present to them, which I'll get to in just a bit. So again, ask a lot of questions. Now also take a note. The quality of your question determines how much you really care. In other words, when you ask high quality questions, people say, this person's asking me really good questions. Step 2 in this is that you have to then, I'll just say repeat. I like the word repeat. When someone gives me a lot of content, in other words, I've asked a lot of questions, tell me more about that. What did you find? And when you did that, how did that work out? What did you like? What didn't you like, right? They'll give you information. Then you parrot back what you've heard. Based on what you're telling me, this is what I'm hearing. And you parrot back. That lets them know you're listening. But the cool component here, I think the real big component, is you then tell them the what. The what is this. Annette, again, I've asked a lot of questions. Part 2. Now I've heard you. Based on what you've told me, this, and this. Is that what you're saying? They're going to say yes. And so what you want to accomplish is X. In other words, now you've pushed them forward into a conversation. So in a natural sales conversation, again, I would ask you 4, 5, or 6 questions. And then I would say, John, based on what you told me, you're looking for this type of software package that has this type of executables in there, these type of files, these type of analytics, this type of dashboards, so forth and so on. They're going to go, yes. John's going to say, yes, Victor, that's exactly what I'm looking for. And if I could really understand what you're trying to accomplish, is this? Is that it? And I go, yes, Victor, that's what I'm trying to accomplish. That's the 3 parts right here. Now you're ready to move into the second part of the trust formula. And that is you have to position yourself as an SME, a subject matter expert. In other words, they have to perceive you as somebody who really understands what they're going through or what their needs are. How do you do this? Well, first part's almost the same. It's the questions you ask. Again, when you're a subject matter expert and you're talking to a customer, what they're looking for is guidance. Let me repeat this again. What customers want today is not more information. They want guidance, which moves us to the second component, insight. What is insight? This is powerful. If you give people information, you're not going to really position yourself as a subject matter expert. Why? Because the majority of people have done some research online before they've reached out to your company. In other words, they're somewhere 80 to 90% into the buyer journey, which means they've done their research. So if you're talking to a customer who's done research and you're telling them what they already know, you're not really positioning yourself as an expert. But if you tell them things that make them go, I didn't know that. I never thought about that. Oh, you can really do that? I didn't know you can do that. That's when you know you're having a real conversation with somebody. And every time they're going, I didn't know that. Really, you can do that. What you're doing is positioning yourself as an expert in their eyes. So now, up to this point, we've done 2 things to build trust. First, we've asked a lot of questions. We understand what they said, and we understand what they want. Then we ask questions, right? Challenge them a little bit, and then provided insight, gave them information they didn't have, or maybe unstated needs. In other words, discovered things that they didn't know, and they went, this person seems to know what he's talking about. Then the last part in building trust is if we've done those 2 things right, this one I came up with, I call it the BIM, BIIM. You always have to have your client's best interest in mind. Best interest in mind. What does that mean? Look, the days of pressuring somebody to buy something just to close a deal is never a good thing. And in today's market, it's harder to do because, again, as I said, customers are 80, 90% to the buying journey. They're smarter. So if you're going to try to pressure somebody, it's not going to work. But what if, instead of trying to sell them, you position the value with their best interest in mind? In other words, if someone tells you, for example, that their budget is $50,000, right? And let's say you found that out early on in the conversation up here, taking their point of view, right? You ask that question, what budget do you have? And what are some of the features in the software, for example, that you're looking for? So I understand that. Now I demonstrate through my subject matter expert phase here that I understand not only my software, but how it will help impact their business. So now when I get to the proposal piece, I can offer options. For example, I can offer 3 options. If you've read my books, Mastering the Upsell, you know I love offering 3 options, right? So for example, when you offer 3 options, most people choose the one in the middle, right? Mitigate risk. But here's the important part. This is kind of a subtle twist. If somebody tells me their budget is $50,000, I'm obviously going to quote them something at $50,000. I'll find something. I'm also going to find something that's maybe more than $50,000, right? Because again, might as well put it out there to see if they might want to buy it. Because if I'm a subject matter expert, I might say, I know you only want to spend $50,000, but based on what you told me you wanted to do, what the outcome was, I would really suggest spending an additional $10,000, $60,000 to buy this product. So that's one way of positioning or leveraging your subject matter expertise. Another strategy I like to use is the downsell. So for example, same situation, $50,000, I'll give you one at $60,000, but I'll also quote you one at $40,000. Now psychologically, think about what happens when you quote something below what the customer said they wanted, in terms of what they had in terms of their budget. immediately the customer is going to go, okay, this person is not looking to put their hands in my pocket and maximize the actual deal size. They're looking out for my best interest by offering me a lower cost solution. So for example, I could say, John, you could spend the $50,000. But if you're not sure, and right now you don't know if you're going to use all these features, may I suggest you go with the $40,000 option? That's a little safer. Now look what I've just done. Indirectly, I've built some level of trust because I've downsold them. Now see, I'm thinking long game. I'm thinking customer lifetime value. In other words, I get John to buy at $40,000. Yeah, I didn't get the extra 10, but if he trusts me now, he trusts who I am, he trusts the brand, trusts the company. How many years can I hold on to a customer like John? And how many more sales, add-ons, upsells can I have over the next 3, 5, 7 years? That's the long game. So when you're thinking about selling, again, it could be one-on-one to a customer, to your management team, doesn't matter. Keep this in mind. When you're trying to get a message across, when you're trying to get, let's say, budget for some type of project you want to work on, start by understanding the person's point of view, or in this case, the group's point of view. And then ask questions to basically understand what they're looking for in the sales process. Here, when we talk about positioning, again, insight, information beyond the obvious. Don't tell people what they already know. Give them information they don't have. Look, you can use tools like ChatGPT today to kind of, do some research, help you do some research, or even define questions for you to ask during an actual presentation. So for example, if you go to ChatGPT, you can say something like this. I'm talking to a CEO of a battery company. What are their top 5 concerns? ChatGPT gives it to you. And then from those 5 concerns, you can say, can you phrase these in questions? So again, if you need some help, go to ChatGPT. But keep in mind what we're trying to do here is understand where they're at mentally, position ourselves as an expert, and in the end, offer them several options. And again, that's pretty much how you build trust. It's a continuous process. If you always make sure that you understand them, position yourself as an expert, and then never pressure, but offer options, keeping their best interest in mind, you will always build that trust. And that is this for this Sales After Dark episode. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, I'll take them right now. I see my man, Elkin. It's been a while, Elkin. Orozco from Miami, man. What's happening? My guy, Trinidadian himself, Jared Best Mitchell. I can't remember when I last caught a live woohoo, man. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. Anyway, any other questions, any other comments, I would appreciate your feedback. The next episode will be on Sunday. What I'm going to try to do is come up with different content that you don't usually see online. And so hopefully you enjoyed this. Any feedback you give me would be greatly appreciated. Other than that, I'm going to let you go. Have a great evening. This is Victor Antonio, always reminding you, selling ain't hard when you know how. Take care.